going on 10. Our electricity went out this morning, so none of my clocks are correct. So I don't know what time it is. But I'm up. David's got to go to work early, so I'm making an early dinner to send with him. He bought me a Mountain Dew. I'm going to drink my Mountain Dew. But I'm not tired, so it shouldn't turn into a slap happy event. I just need some help going on this. I'm trying to finish up this rattle. Hi, Gypsy. I'm trying to finish up this rattle while I'm waiting on his hamburger steak to cook, and then I will stop and make the rest of the fixings with it when I get done with this. But I thought I'd pop on for a minute. Do the do. This one, I'm doing it. Thought I'd pop on for a minute and try to finish a couple of things that I needed to finish. I've got a mess going on my table. I desperately need to clean it up. And also, as y'all can see from my video yesterday, you cannot please everyone, anyone really. And everyone wants to, you know, I can see right and wrong from a lot of different sides. And so I talk about it, but many people can only see right and wrong from one place. And that very rarely ever happens. Normally it's a conglomerate. Your pretty chickens are molting, bless their hearts. Normally right and wrong is one of those conglomerates that, you know, a multitude of people share in a multitude of ways. And so I thought I did a pretty even keel little discussion yesterday about, you know, there were bad things that happened on both sides, but all this enabling talk does not diagnostically line up when you look at what enabling truly means and how it presents. And so basically what anyone's telling me is that, you know, if your work softball team won the big game and your mother and the Save-A-Lot heard somebody say, well, they didn't deserve to win. And your mother said, yes, they did. They worked very hard. They deserve to win. Then your mother is enabling you to be a bully on the softball team, which is stupid. But that's a lot of people are just stuck on what they can label someone else and get a pity emotion from someone else. And what they can blame on someone else. They don't have to take ownership for anything themselves. And here's the deal. If you choose to participate in a dialogue or in any kind of contact with people, then you will choose to also endure the ramifications of said contact. And there is a big back and forth when you have contact with anyone of how it can and may affect you. And I don't think people understand that anymore. Better with the Irish. Hello. How you doing this morning? Hey, yeah, hang on to them feathers, Gypsy. I'll pay you for them plus the shipping. But a lot of people don't want to, you know, they don't want to look at things from a well-rounded perspective. They just want to be right or have their emotions validated or have their favorite person win. And I'm like, there is no winning. When you get in discussions like we saw happen around the Kiely Rodni case, there is no winning. There's no one wins that. Okay, because it's already a discussion about something that should never have happened in our nation. And it's a discussion that is going to lead to heated emotions and people to start learning about things they probably don't want to know is happening in their nation. There is no win there. I just want everybody to understand that. There is no win. There's either honest communication to gain information and to stop this from happening, or there is the titty baby breakdown that we see a lot when people don't acknowledge what they're getting into when they choose to go online. I'm sorry, I'm just going to call it like it is. It's what I see. I see a lot of people that go online and don't understand that there will be a ramification from placing themselves on a public platform, and then they get really mad. I'm making a rattle. I'm putting the fur bonnet on it right now before I lace it. So I've got a lamb's horn rattle with I gotta remember what I put in there. Tiger's eye gems in there. Took me a minute, didn't it? So, and what the biggest thing that people kept saying on my video yesterday was that he attacked her. Okay, having a disagreeable conversation. While yes, he did say words I would not have said to her. We're going to have to chill out about this attack. He hurt me. He hurt me. And we have gotten way too soft in this nation. Way too soft. But I will say that one thing that no one has yet to admit is that that woman placed herself in that position. The woman placed herself in that communication, in that dialogue, and therefore is somewhat responsible for what she went into. If I choose to cross the field with the bull in it, I anticipate the bull might get me. If you go into dialogue with people that disagree with you, you have to envision that they're going to disagree with you passionately, vehemently, violently, sometimes even. And you have to understand that you're going to have to handle that. Now, would I have wished Ryan to have chosen better words when getting frustrated with her? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I also would like to put a little bit of weight on that woman and say, you know something? When you put yourself on a very public platform with a very endeared person, and you are combative in dialogue, which they were all three very combative in dialogue. None of them were nice to each other. Then you're going to suffer some consequences too. There is no way around that. But to put all of the blame on Ryan is wrong, because there were three people that chose to be in that dialogue, and they volunteered to be in that dialogue. They were not forced to be in that dialogue. And so we have to put some of the weight on her for placing herself in a position like that. Ladies, we can't make everything happenstance to where we can always be the victim. If you put yourself in certain places, you're going to have to handle yourself better. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Music. Good morning. And so I think it's funny how everyone wants to create a victim with her rather than say, oh, wait, she chose to be there. She came from obscurity and chose to put herself on a public platform. And that means she also must handle the ramifications that come from that placement. No one said that. No one wants to talk about that. They just want to get in their feelings and talk about it. Well, we've got, as a nation, we've got to stop getting in our feelings. We've got to stop getting in our feelings, and we've got to start really looking at things and having real discussions again. And real discussions get heated, and real discussions don't always end the way we want them to. And real discussions go cattywampus sometimes. But we have to start having them again, because we have to learn to disagree again. We can't always agree on everything. And having a disagreement is not an attack. Getting heated and walking away from a talk is not an attack. But we don't know how to handle ourselves anymore. And it's showing up in our youth. It's showing up all across our nation. It has turned into quite possibly the biggest Achilles heel that our nation has today is dialogue and communication that can't be had without someone having to be a victim. There has to be a victim. There are no two sides, and there's no debate winner and someone that must tuck their tail and admit that they did not bring anything to the conversation, or that their facts did not make a hill of sense. There's only, a winner and then a victim. And I don't think that there was a victim in that dialogue. I think there was 3 adults that handled themselves inappropriately at times, but they all voluntarily chose to be there. So had she been invited in and set up, I would say, okay, maybe she's the victim. But she chose to be there and she chose to engage. And she chose to be quite a little snarky hooch at times. So, you know, that happens. That happens. You know, women want to expect better behavior from men, but they certainly don't want to offer it. Have y'all ever noticed that? Women expect men to be just bastions of humanity. But boy, the things that women say about men, quite distasteful. Have y'all ever noticed that? That's how we got that toxic masculinity. And everybody started ragging on men for being men and how dare they be men. And, you know, and that's really kind of what is crippling our nation now and our family, is men are scared to be men, so women can't fully be women. And we've blurred all these lines so much that people can't have a life where they have this inside of, oh, this is my role, that is your role. It's constantly trying to one up each other, even when you're in a relationship to where you're trying to both earn the same better life. And it's like, what are we doing, America? What are we doing? If you want to bake brownies and stay home with the kids, you bake brownies and stay home with the kids, by God. You know, if you want to go out and learn to weld, you go out and weld. There is no reason to have to call someone toxic or make someone weak in order for you to feel masculine. Never. I'm a big old burly woman. I'm a powerhouse. Before I had this neuromuscular disorder, I was scary. But I did not walk around and tell men you need to be weak so I can be strong. Heck no, that just meant I had to be stronger. That just pushed me to do more for me. So I don't always understand why women think that there has to be a counterbalance for them, because there doesn't. You be what you want to be. It doesn't mean that anyone else has to be anything else in relation to you. Oh, you know, a woman that beats down her man. Yeah, it's a feeling of superiority. I think women have a complex these days. I can be what I need to be in the moment. If I need to bake brownies for the kids, I'll bake brownies for the kids. If I need to, used to be if I needed to go bust firewood, I'd go chop firewood. If I needed to go hunt a deer for dinner, I'd go hunt a deer for dinner. Now, my health doesn't allow me to do all those things anymore, and I miss it. But it didn't change my relationship with my husband, because he knew that I was whatever was needed in the moment. I am an Appalachian woman. And now I can just offer a little bit less as far as the physicalities of our hard life here. To him, that just said, okay, well, I'm going to step up and take over now. And he did. Not a problem. So I just kind of said, okay, well, I'll be extra domestic now. And there was no, I'm a victim. There was none of that. There was none of that. I'm still me. I'm still doing what I need to do to keep my family fed and happy and healthy. And it didn't alter who I was at all. And I have, you know, women that are wrapped up in themselves so dangerously these days that, you know, everyone around them must support who they are. No, honey, only you need to support who you are. They don't depend on anyone else. Just you. I tell everybody the only person you truly need to be worried about is the person whose butt you wipe. And so when I would see people that were concerned with other people, I'd be like, you wipe their butt? Well, no, I don't wipe their butt. Oh, well, you worry about them like you wipe their butt. And then they go, I do, don't I? Oh, God. And then they think about things. So who do you worry about like you wipe their butt? Because if you're putting that much energy into somebody, you might as well be wiping their butt. Yeah, what if humans just pulled their weight? Wouldn't that be great? That would if everybody would just work together for 5 goddamn minutes. Wouldn't that be great? If everybody would say, oh gosh, they have a different perspective and have lived a different life and have different ideals and it is different from me. And that's okay. Wouldn't that be amazing? Instead of, well, they don't know how to behave and they attack everybody. And it's just like, whoa, you know, having a difference of opinion, voicing it passionately is not an attack. Now, should he have called her names? No, I wish he wouldn't have called her names. But like I said, she chose to get on public domain and have a very prominent and nasty conversation that in my mind didn't even need to be had. But I don't get to control people. But there is some accountability with her there because she chose to be there. She chose to engage. She chose to do that. And we have to give her some of the accountability, and she has to bear some of the consequences. Now, I think they're all three in the wrong in certain places because they all three got super tacky and super hateful. But at the same time, they're adults and they're allowed to have those conversations. As long as they don't put hands on each other, they can have those conversations. But I will not sit here and say she was a victim because she chose to be there voluntarily. She chose to get on a platform with someone that she knew was going to get her a lot of attention. And then she got to choose how she dealt with the attention. She didn't handle it very well. She could have handled that in a much better way. She went from being completely open to going to completely hide. Didn't make sense to me. It still doesn't make sense to me. Maybe she thought she was just going to get to play this victim card and run with it and that people were going to protect her. I don't know. My big thing was when I worked for the government, I was told to not have an online presence. I was told that I was monitored hefty. I was told that I needed to make sure that I represented my government at all times and that I didn't find myself in any precarious situations that they had to correct because then I would no longer be an employee. So why is someone in the National Guard going online and having conversations with somebody about a national story and then getting upset when she's ousted? Honey, you're in our military. There's going to be stuff about you online that hackers and people are going to be able to find. You're going to have more of a footprint online than most people. You knew that. So why cry about it now? When I made the decision to come online, we made it me and David, we had a very open conversation about the consequences of putting myself on this platform. Being able to socialize and share and maybe help people outweighed that I'd piss somebody off and they'd come out here. But also the fact that I've put people in prison for a decade and I've done pissed people off and they're already looking for me. So, I'm already in trouble. I'm just winging it. I've already got people that hate me. I'm just rolling with it. I was already in a pretty dangerous spot. So, a little bit more ain't gonna hurt. So, and I just deal with it. But I also handle myself better and I choose not to get into certain altercations with people. I tend to avoid the really nasty, egregious, harmful people. And I tend to avoid a lot of the spotlights. Ryan has blasted my channel numerous times, and if I wanted to have milked that for subs to monetize, I could have done so, but that's not why I'm here. That's not what I'm doing. And when he does blast me, I don't run with it and try to use it. Normally, I quieten down for a few days because I only want the people on my page that truly want to be here. I'm trying to gather a good-hearted family of people that like to have conversation and dialogue, and they like to look at the world around them and talk about it. And so I don't really milk anything. So I've got the fur cap based on. I put some water buffalo beads and a tooth on this. Now I'm going to make some feather dangles, and then I'm going to have to comb his hair because this is crazy. He has got a leather cap, though, so he's doing pretty good. Let me set my hamburger meat out for just a moment. You're going to see my mess behind me. We're still unpacking and packing from all of this back and forth. Oh, that smells good. And to be quite honest, there's going to be some things I'm not going to unpack because then I'll just have to pack them back up. And what's the point of that? Good morning, sunshine. I don't know if I'm a sunshine. So I try to always think about things, but anytime that you negate to give someone that is active in the involvement in the energy, as soon as you negate to give them any kind of consequence or any active involvement, you create a lie. because had they not been there, that never would have occurred. So you can't remove them and say that these people caused that, because it took that energy also to cause it. So when you try to shove them over and go, but they were a victim. No, they were an active participant, and they also caused that. So their energy, their demeanor, their words, they also created that environment. So you can't blame everything on someone else. You never can, because it takes all of them to make, the merry-go-round go. And we can't blame everything on just one other person. And that's what they're doing in this instance. Is taking that woman and sitting her over and making a victim status, because it suits in their mind the goal they're going for, which is to show men as aggressive. Because nobody's really trying to protect Tony Dodge. I mean, he, bless his heart, whether he's a mean person or not, he's had more on him, and in the last couple months than anybody else. I've seen more videos about him than anyone else. But everyone is circling the wagons to protect this woman. And they're trying to say she was purely a victim. Well, why are we not giving the victim status to Tony Dodge as well? Oh, well, he was hosting the show. Well, so was she. Those two were working in conjunction to get Ryan there. They both wanted to speak with him. Energy. They placed their energy there. They created the dialogue. That's it, Cindy B. Personal responsibility. Hold yourself accountable. She chose to place herself there. There will be ramifications and consequences. And I get flabbergasted when people completely just, scale through that. Even when bad things happen to good people, you still have to look at it and go, okay, what could I have done better? Where did I make a decision I could have made a better one at? I know I was driving at night one time after doing a training in another part of the state, and I was in a marked car, and I needed to stop for gas, and I had allowed myself to get too low of gas, and they had told me in certain areas in certain cities not to stop in this car and get gas. And here I'd been an idiot and not watched my gas gauge close enough, and here I was going to have to stop in certain cities to get gas. Guess whose fault that was? It was mine, because I'm a dumb butt. And I had to watch my back very closely as I filled up that car and paid the money for that and got right back on the interstate and put as much space between me and that place as possible. Buddy, I blistered it on out of there. But if something had happened, it would have been my fault. I would have bared some of the responsibility because I knew better than to stop there. And I had not planned, and I had placed myself in that position. Now, yeah, you can say, oh, well, things just happen. Things do just happen, but you're still responsible for yourself. You're still making decisions for yourself, and you still have to own them. And so when people try to just like negate one whole person's, accountability, it's like we can't do that. That is what is wrong in this world. That is what is really causing the downfall of America. That is what is really creating a lot of tension in our nation. You can't do that. Everybody now chooses to be a victim rather than to handle their crap. And so what we have is a lot of people standing in a lot of crap and not knowing how to shovel it correctly. And then they start flinging it at other people. Don't step in it if you can't handle the crap. There you go. Music, that's right. Everybody's trying to blame everybody. There's so many possibilities that could have happened. And I think we should discuss them all. But yeah, I mean, Missing Girls, you've got to understand that the evil and the criminal component in this nation has gone up like 400% in the last year. And it's just because we now have more people in our nation that can get away with crap because they have the means to be invisible. And that's dangerous. Yeah, it's a learning lesson, Rachel. You got to learn from it. Did she learn from it? I don't think so, because she just put herself right back out there. But I'm amazed that someone in her military would have taken the time to present himself on a public platform like that, because I would have been fired as a government employee. I would have been fired. I would have been fired. Now, if I had been in her shoes and Ryan had called me that name, I'd been like, whoa, we can either have this conversation without names and we can share information and thoughts and details and facts, or I can check out and you can talk to yourself. That sounds like a whole hell of a lot of fun. But she sat there and you know, she done some stuff to irritate him because it irritated me to watch it. She played stupid and coy and tried to divert and distract and deflect. And it was very irritating and it was very questionable and it did raise a lot of eyebrows. But nobody, you know, that's been overshadowed now that she is a victim. And I'm like, listen, we take this victim crap way too far. Way too far. To where if you walk out the door and a bird craps on you, you're now a victim. And it's like, no, honey, you stepped out of your door and went into real life. Shit happens. And I can't explain that to people. Like, I can't get people to understand that. And it's frustrating because until we realize that every day we step out of our doors, we do have energy that we are responsible for, then the world is going to continue to tank. It's going to continue to tank. You know, and I think back to how I split with my state employer, and it was a horrible split. And I think, how could I have handled that better? I don't put the burden on them because I can't control them. They were buttholes and they did me super wrong. But the only person I could control in that situation is me. And I constantly sit back and think, how could I have handled that better? How could I have understood what they were doing before they did it? How could I have preempted that? How, you know, it's on me. It's my burden. That's what I'm trying to figure out from my vantage point. I don't sit there and go, I was a victim and they no. I need to put wrinkles in my brain about how to handle that better in case I'm ever in that position again. And I'm certainly not going to cry about it anymore. It was a bad experience, but I've got to put wrinkles in my brain and learn from it, or I'm just going to end up there again. And so it was like, okay, who's at fault? Whatever. It was the crapshoot. Now I need to learn from it and move on. But I was responsible because I should have caught on to what they were doing. I was too trusting in an employer I shouldn't have been trusting in. I thought that there was some loyalty that came with seniority. No, that was me being stupid. Ownership of stupidity. Hello, I have a lot of it. But a lot of people don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. They think it's weak to acknowledge your stupidity, your weak spots. It's not. It takes a strong person to acknowledge the weak spots because then they grow from it. But I see no one acknowledging weak spots and going, this is what I should have, could have, would have done better. And so the victim part, I don't buy it. If you voluntarily choose to engage, you're somewhat responsible for the outcome. And then everybody's saying, well, they doxed her. Listen, if it's on public domain and it can be accessed by 330 million people in America, it's not doxing. It is what it is. We live in an age where nobody can be hidden anymore. I think I hear Dave coming in. I'm fixing to have to finish up his dinner. He's got to go to work early today. It should be a strength, but nobody sees strengths anymore. Nobody sees strengths anymore. They only see weaknesses that they can extort. And usually on other people. So if they have a weakness, they will run with it so that they gain from that weakness rather than correct the weakness. Yep, I told you I heard Dave coming in. So what I'm fixing to do now is I'm going to put a little tie here. I probably will cover it with another color, but I'm going to put some column beads and some feathers right here. And I think that's probably going to be all I put on this one, or it gets way too busy.
Hey.
See, he's alive.
It's been working.
He had a coyote to flesh this morning, or to skin this morning. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they need to be watching these motels that take hourly payments and cash payments, and because they normally do, like, physically have them in those places for a night or two until they can shuffle them elsewhere. 9 times out of 10, if you go back and you read investigations, they hole up for a couple of days somewhere to let the fuzz die down, and then they transport. And so they need to be checking places like that. Yeah, I may take it with us to the next sale, or I don't know if I'll put it on Etsy or not. I think it'll fit in a box. I had him cut it a little bit. I put a leather wrap down here too, but I had him cut it a little bit so it wouldn't be super long because it had a super long handle before now, so I had him cut it a little bit. The hair, I'm gonna have to really comb his hair and stuff. There was a woman that stopped at the booth after I had already gone home, and bless her heart, was not the nicest woman. And I had made a smudge fan, a feather fan, and she was telling David how that was not a smudging feather, and smudging feathers had to be from this animal or this animal, and couldn't have this, and this on it. Couldn't have, and I was like, because when I grew up, it was they just used the whole wing of anything. But as I've studied and learned, they do certain tribes do like want to use eagle feathers. They will go to the government and request the ability to have an eagle feather. Well, I live in Podunk, Appalachia, and I'm part of a very small Lenape tribe, and I'm not going to get federal go ahead to let alone have an eagle feather, let alone put one on something that's going to sell. I don't want a federal offense, and so I thought she was a little crazy. And then she was like, "Well, why didn't she use hawk feathers? Hello, bird of prey, still protected." The stupidity of some people really irritates me sometimes. And I'd used turkey feather, which is the third feather in line to be used, by indigenous people. It's used, it's respected just as much. The turkey is the bird that basically guards the earth and keeps the earth safe. And then she was like, well, she used more than one, and you're only supposed to use one feather. No, people use fans as well. People use the whole wing. People can even use their hands. People can use a wad of toilet paper to spread smoke around their house. It doesn't matter. It's the intent. We only use the birds to honor them because they fly highest to Creator. And the turkey is used because it is Creator's guardian of the planet, basically. It keeps the earth safe. And so when people come up and try to tell me my business, and I'm sitting there going, she read a magazine article, bless her heart, and I would have probably not handled her that well. But that is just how people are. They have an ounce of information and they run with it like they have a mile. And they don't understand any other perspective. And it's just like, whoa, woman, do you know how many options there are to use these instruments? And all the feather all it represents is air. It just energetically spreads the air. So that's all it represents. So legit, you can use your hand to spread your smudge around your house. It's just if you want a cute little option that is used in more ceremonies and stuff, grab you a feather. If you want to go beyond that, grab you a feather fan. But people just like to take over, and they don't like to have communication as much as they like to have moments where they're on the podium and getting all the attention. So she would not have engaged in dialogue with me. I dare say she would have moved on. But as long as no one was contesting her, she was going to stand there and preach. So it is what it is. David said it's all good. He didn't pay no attention to her anyway. But that's like it is. Like there are like 87 different tribes that went through my area that all influenced each other. And we all have kind of shared, mixed, swapped, we kind of overlap in a lot of ways. And there's a lot that even bounces back and forth between the Navajo. Did you know that almost every Indian tribe uses the same colors for their medicinal purposes, to represent their medicinal purposes? And that's because everybody interlapped, and it just kind of gets shared. So it's just one of those things. And people don't like, they don't like to swallow the truth a lot. They like to create a version and run with it. They don't like to actually accept that, their tribe did blend with others and learn things from others, and people are very haughty in that way. Okay, Rachel, you just email me. It's the Etsy's really slim right now, but things are fixing to start being added to it. So I'm gonna probably add some necklaces today, and I've got some frames for dream catchers over here drying, and I probably I may weave a few just for sale, but I don't like to sell them. I really like to do them personal, but at this point I have so many people asking for them, it just seems the right thing to weave a few and get ahead of the game. So if I have a good day, I try to weave. I never weave on a bad day because I don't want to weave bad energy into them. I don't want to weave that. Amanda, people don't realize things that are useful for them. That's the biggest flaw in humans. That's right. Send them some positive energy and hope they get on board. But, it's really easy to spot those people because the people that want to cry victim or the people that want to cry he was mean to her normally go on everybody else's channels and are super mean to other people. But they're just protecting people, and it's like, whoo, that was, see what you did there? They don't. So it's very hard to communicate with some people, and like I said, you cannot have a conversation with everybody, and when you choose to engage, you choose to also accept the consequences of that engagement. So be careful who you choose to engage with. It does not always work out. I've got your hamburger steak in there. It's just kind of finishing off while the oven cools. Okay. Oh, thank you, Gypsy. So I'm going to start putting some of the jewelry up today. It's easier for me to handle and mark because I have to number because they're all basically alike, but the teeth are all slightly different. So I'm going to put a few necklaces up. I'm not going to put all of them up because that would be way too many ads. I'm going to put a few necklaces up for options. I may put a few of the fur keychains in a group and maybe a couple of the fur palms.
We have to make some more palms for next weekend.
Yeah, I'll probably have to make more palms before next weekend. So we're gonna try to go to the other vendor sale next weekend and see what we do. And the palms seem to do pretty good. People don't even bat an eye at the price when they fall in love with them. They just like, gimme. And I'm like, okay. So we've had a good response to them. Of course, they're just $10, but still that's $10. So, but they're really excited to have Dave there and they said they'd never seen a booth like ours before, that they were super excited to be able to invite David and I just spit, invite David and have that kind of work down there. So we're excited to go and see what kind of response we get. And not everybody enjoys our work. So I'm sure we'll run across a few people that will roll their eyes and ask us just how we have the animals give us their fur. That was my favorite encounter of Saturday. That was David says he just asked them to get naked and they comply. How's that going for marriage? It don't work. Oh. Everybody needs to laugh about that. Call me Chris, I didn't say that. You like to take stuff and go the wrong way with it. You constantly have the wrong thoughts. You constantly look at a victim standpoint. I said the three of them chose to engage in an adult conversation. Therefore, the three of them are all responsible for the outcome. And while all three of them engaged in some rather nasty behavior, the people that are responsible are the people that chose to engage. And she bears some of the responsibility too. And so we can't negate that. While we can say, yeah, Ryan, you should have used better language. It was not polite to talk to a female like that. We also have to look at her and say, you know something, when you choose to put yourself on a public platform in a very emotional dialogue, you're going to get an emotional response, and you have to be prepared for that. And when you choose to put yourself there and you choose to engage in that, and you choose to place your energy in that environment, you can't blame someone else for what you find yourself standing in the middle of. And she has to have some accountability. We cannot make her a victim because she chose to be there and she chose to engage. And she chose to engage more than once. And so she had to have some kind of idea, that she was going to be benefiting in somehow from this. She had some kind of motivation to do this more than once. So she was not a victim. She was an active participant in a heated conversation. And she chose to place herself there. Now, would I have been in that conversation? No. I would not have placed myself there because everyone knew how emotional everybody was being and everybody knew how heated everybody was being. I would not have placed myself there. I would not have thought that it would have been a place that was going to be conducive to a proper conversation, and I would not have placed myself there. But that's where I'm different from her. And then I look at those things. I look at the warning signs and I look at the previous behavior, because past behavior is the best indicator of future behavior. I mean, let's just say that. And we all know how absolutely passionate and wild internet panels can get. And that's why I just don't care for them. I don't think they're positive places. But when you choose to place yourself in them, you have to handle what happens when you're on there. And if you're on a panel, then your energy is going in that panel too, and you are also responsible for what is occurring. So everybody is carrying a burden in that dynamic. And if you can take me saying everyone's carrying a burden in that dynamic and still want to make her out to be a victim or say that I am excusing everyone else's behavior, then that's part of the problem. It's part of the problem, because I'm trying to look at the whole and the behavior of all and how everyone could have been improved, or how everyone could have been accountable. But if you try to focus on just one, then you can't really talk about the instance. You can only talk about the emotion, and that's never going to benefit anyone. I mean, if you only talk about the emotion, that's never going to benefit anyone. We have to talk about what happened, the behaviors, and the consequences so that people are prepared to enter into these types of conversations. Because you've been in here for 3 minutes and you're already mad at me. Why are you mad at me? Her going on a podcast doesn't give them the right to attack her. Her going on a podcast knowing that we're going to talk about an emotional topic should have given her a little bit of an idea that it was going to be an emotional conversation. And she still chose to be there. So she needed to handle what happened there. Now, should he have called her names? No. But she was very coy and not the nicest person in her own way. There was a lot of behaviors on all accounts that could have been much, much better. But if we only hold one party accountable when there were three energies in that involvement, then we're not doing anyone any favors. That's like saying there were three present at the murder, but we're only going to charge one. Well, the other two were accomplices. They had energy in that environment that affected the occurrence, and they need to be charged. They need to be held accountable. So everyone that was in that had an energetic addition that is responsible for what happened. And if she wants to sit back and think about how she handled herself, and if she wants to change the outcome of future conversations with people, she needs to study her own behavior. That's the only behavior that she can change, is her own behavior. Yeah, you can't really say anyone was doxxed when it's all on public domain anyway. I mean, we live in a land, in a nation where nothing's private anymore. Nothing's private anymore. everything's online. I mean, we're all screwed when it comes to privacy. So there's, no point in whining about it. And I say that putting people in prison for a decade. So, I've thought about that quite a bit, but there's no way you can truly have a private life. I mean, my God, phone books ruin that. The white pages online ruin that. And if you got $50, you can find anybody. I mean, let's just be practical and honest. That's it missing, but we can't find the missing. Or music, we can't find the missing. Yeah. Yeah. Makes you think, doesn't it? I mean, we're all, they can find anybody on a security cam, but they can't find kids that have been missing. It should blow your mind about how our government functions. Oh, okay, Chris, you are allowed to have that belief. You're allowed to have that belief, but I don't follow that belief. I like to give people responsibility and accountability and tell them that they can change and augment their lives and have positive interactions with people if they choose to understand interactions and they choose to understand that their energy they bring to the table also creates the dynamic that they're fixing to go in. So, I mean, you can have that belief, but I will tell you something. I will also not stand up and super defend anybody like Ryan does a lot of things wrong. I don't agree with a lot of what he does, and I wish he would learn to control his mouth a little bit. It would make me a lot happier, but I don't get to tell him that because he's a grown man. I wish that girl would not have gone on that live as ill prepared as she was, because she came out of nowhere and put herself in the middle of a very emotional story and was not prepared to handle it. I don't get to tell her what to do. She's an adult. But I will tell you one thing. I'm not going to sit here and defend either of them to death, because the only person's hind end I wipe is mine, and I'm not going to put so much energy in other people that people's going to think I'm wiping their butt. So, I mean, that's just how I roll. And I think for people to care so much about Xana May while not realizing that the energy of all three people created that, and all three people carry a burden for what occurred, and all three people could have improved upon all of their behavior. If we don't look at all of it, it would have changed nothing. So it's a moot point anyway. Trying to lay blame on one person. No, all three of them carry blame in that conversation, and all three of them should have done better. And that lays blame on everyone, even Ryan. But if you want blame laid on just one person, I can't do that. Ryan created that. Yes, he shit it out like the sun. Tony Dodge asked for him to come on the show more than once. So he willfully joined in, which is his problem. I mean, that's his responsibility. But no, I took all three of them to create what happened. Took all three energies. Take any of them out of it, and it would have been a whole different bag of worms. So it took all three of them to screw it up that immaculately. So. It's just one of those things that not a lot of people understand. And it makes more sense if you've been in a courtroom scenario and you've seen co-defendants. And you've seen a lawyer really go through why it took all three for the scenario to unfold the way it unfolded. And then you realize the energy components that other people bring to things, and how people do play off each other and things get out of hand. And then instead of one person being wrong, there are more than one person being wrong. And I witnessed that a lot, and it made me think a lot. And the energies that we share and the behaviors that we have in front of and with others, it affects everything. So yeah, if you engage, you change the dynamic of whatever you're engaging in. And if you don't engage, then you don't have a dog in that race. So lots of times I don't engage because I don't want to have a dog in that race, which is a very smart thing to do. More people need to learn how to do that. I need something flat to tie at the bottom of this. And maybe I should just put feathers. But a lot of people are just really want to lay blame, and they don't want to have a discussion and learn how conversations truly are affected by words, behavior, body language, nonverbal cues. And so a lot of people just hear the words and they don't actually see a lot of what's going on. A lot of people, they don't understand the setup. I think a lot of that was purely a setup. I think a lot of it was purely for just to cause ruffles and to create issues. And so I don't think that anybody got anything handed to them that they really didn't anticipate. But I think they'll milk it like a Guernsey until they can get what they want, which is a lot of what we're seeing. But no, if you tell me somebody that's in the National Guard and is a wartime vet is attacked and feels ostracized by words, what the hell is she doing in the military? That's a pretty rough place. You ever heard how your drill sergeant talks to you? It ain't nice. I'm sure she's been called far worse, but it didn't benefit her to call her drill sergeant an attacker, did it? No. I mean, would you support her if she came out and said, my drill sergeant attacked me? He spoke so vile. He made me feel like a victim. Wouldn't you be like, you signed up for the military, honey? Get over yourself, right? That's how we'd all be. Like, you signed up for the military. That's part of the training. But she goes and has a conversation with a human being who gets heated and animated and inappropriate, but by no means, beyond what people are, normally screaming at each other in conversation, sadly. And all of a sudden, she's this horrible victim that's never experienced such horrible things. Really? Really? Perspective. Do you create it or does someone else? Do you look at it from different perspectives or do you allow them to dictate how you view it? Because she's dictating the heck out of this. I mean, let's just be honest. And no, I would have been much happier if he would have bit his lip and not said anything nasty. But we can't do that. Have I been disrespectful and said anything nasty to you? I have not. And you're getting super emotional, and now you're being an aggressor and trying to turn me into a victim. Do you understand that you are exhibiting the behaviors that you're calling Ryan on? Do you understand that you are so vehemently, emotionally absorbed into this that you are now presenting as the thing you say you hate? That is how much control you've allowed this to have over your life. Do you understand that you're getting so emotionally bound up in this that you're attacking someone who's trying to look at it from 3 different perspectives and make everyone accountable for their own behavior? But because I won't only hold your view, you're now going to call me names and attack me and say and do and repeat actions you say are wrong? Do I get to be a victim now? Do I get to be a victim now? Is it my turn to cry and ask for donations? Is that what you want me to do? I'm not going to. I mean, I just wanted to know. So now talking about an event is victimizing people. Okay. Now, this is how a lot of people think, people. Just pay attention. This is how a lot of people think. They think everyone else's behavior is inappropriate. And they say why it's inappropriate, but then when they go do the inappropriate behaviors, it's not inappropriate anymore. It's justified. And that's how we see people that can and cannot maintain their emotions. I didn't make fun of her service. I said she could handle a drill sergeant. Why couldn't she handle the words of Ryan Upchurch? You're spinning things. You're spinning things to suit you. You're having a very one-sided conversation with yourself because I don't think you're actively involved in the one I'm having. This is what we're dealing with in this generation, y'all. I can say it, but you can't. I can call you on it, but I can call people on it, but you can't. I can display these behaviors, but you better not. And if you say anything about anyone that I deem as a victim, you're going to hell in a handbasket. But that's your perspective. I have a different perspective. And yes, I fully think that if somebody's been in the military, has been through boot camp, has dealt with drill sergeants, has been screamed at by drill sergeants, we all know how drill sergeants are. We all know the very crass behavior that the military has. We all are very aware of that. It's common in public knowledge. If she's made it through boot camp in the military for 10 plus years, then she can handle an inappropriate name on a podcast. I would hope to God she could. Because the military is a whole lot rougher than that. Whole lot rougher than that. So, you know, that's what I'm saying. She's escaped from Ukraine and helped other people escape from Ukraine, and you think someone calling her a bad name on a podcast is going to mentally and emotionally affect the woman. I'm going to give her a little bit more credit than that. I don't think it did. I think she wanted to play it like it did, but I don't think it did. I don't think it did. But the thing that people don't understand is that she doesn't need to be a victim. You don't have to call her a victim to understand how she may have felt when she was called that name. You don't have to call her a victim to sympathize with her story or her life story. I can do all of that and still say she still should have been better prepared for that discussion. She still should have been better prepared for that discussion. And that's not me being mean to her. It's me being realistic that when you talk to people and you put yourself on this, you have to handle it. You have to handle it. I mean, you've called me everything but a white girl right now, and I'm not mad at you. You know, I understand that you are emotionally wrapped up in this, and it must hurt. And you think everyone should see your point of view, and you get upset when people don't. You know, I can understand all of that. Yeah, she stayed in. I mean, she willfully, voluntarily put herself there and remained there, and allowed it all to happen, because she could have left at any moment and stopped a lot of it. And we all are adults, and we all know how discussions that are heated go. And she could have made better decisions. They all three could have made better decisions. But I will not sit here and grant the victimhood to any of the three that voluntarily put themselves there and engaged. They're all three responsible, and they all three should have been better prepared and handled themselves more appropriately. And that places the burden on all three. So to say that I'm giving one an out above another is very false. They all three should have handled themselves much better. But, you know, I'm not going to pawn off someone else's behavior. They're responsible for their own behavior. But I'm not going to make it sound like they were in a back alley fight and someone was beaten to death when it was a verbal conversation. Call me Chris. I I can't stop people on public domain internet from making memes or doing stupid things. You're acting as though I pulled marionette strings and sent people to do harmful things to others. And you do know that that is impossible.
Yeah.
You do know that is impossible. That was every person that watched that then went and did something inappropriate, they're responsible for their inappropriate behavior. If the family felt threatened or they have knowledge of anyone who did that, then they should go and have recourse through the justice system. They absolutely should. But to state that one person is responsible for however many thousands did stupid things, I mean, it's not plausible. We all watch the internet every day, and we all choose how we take away from it and what we put in our own lives. And if somebody was stupid enough to think that they needed to create stupid memes or to do really nasty things, that's on them. They need to be punished. That family needs to find them and punish them. But you roaming the internet and belligerently blaming random people for other people's behavior, not a positive thing. It's displacing whatever impact you think you're having. It's displacing it, and it's making it completely ineffective. You're not helping anyone. So I would say, if you're that passionate about it, reach out to the family and say, hey, let's track down these people that did these memes. If they're really violent and they need criminal prosecution, help them do it. But like randomly going through the internet and blaming people for other people's behavior, I mean, what are you gaining? Wasted time. Well, good, it's being done. I hope that anybody that violates the law, I hope they go after them and they get them. But you can't blame thousands of stupid behaviors on one person, and that's whoever posted that on the internet is going to be the one that has to pay. So, I mean, going through and blaming random people, or saying that if you have a discussion about this, you're adding to this. No, I'm having a discussion about it. I'm saying we're all responsible for our own behavior, even the people that do stupid crap like that. They need to be found to be punished. If it's something that breached the law, they need to be found to be punished. I'm saying if you jump into victimhood immediately, you're doing a disservice to everyone in that conversation because they all three generated that environment. I ran out of string and I don't know what I'm going to do. Because I needed more string and I ran out of string. All right, Gypsy, you can go ahead and use the block button. I'm good. I think we've had enough of educational tools today.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
No, as David said, ain't nobody got time for that. I wish you luck, Chris. I hope someday you find somebody that agrees 100% with you and that you can control 100%, and then you can have the world you want, but you'll be very bored in it. So, adios. Bye-bye. So long. What's that song? Yeah, that one. I wish I could sing it. Somebody sing the song for me.
I'll take that for dinner tonight and get you something books. Because I gotta leave.
Okay, that'll work. I mean, it's whatever you want to do.
Be fine.
I'll finish all that out for later then.
I'll be fine.
So.
Oh yeah, I won't tell you.
So okay, that's a perfect example of. I mean, she wanted to provoke a response from me, but I rarely give people what they want.
Yeah, I'm gonna work.
David was doing a jig a minute ago to my song. Y'all missed it.
No, I'm trying to get ready for work. I ain't worried about what's going on YouTube.
Yeah, he's getting ready for work. He's not really worried about me. Was it The Sound of Music? Okay, see, I knew that song from somewhere. But that is how distracted people become in their hate. They see it one way and they have to make the story that way because it fits their narrative, it fits their story, and it fits who they can be in relation to that story. It makes them important. And so everyone has to agree with it and go that way. And when you don't, you're a horrible person. But really what they're saying is, I mean, if she really thought about what she was saying, she would say, what I'm saying is that this girl is so stupid, she stumbled in on a live, didn't know how to handle herself. And so now I've got to stand up and say she's a victim and she was too stupid to handle herself in that dynamic. And I need to protect her from all the other people trying to victimize her because she can't. Really? Because I think that woman's more competent than that. I mean, I really think that woman's more competent than that. And I'm not going to demean her and say that she's that stupid because she's not. She's not that stupid. You don't go into the military. You don't escape from Ukraine, go into the military, and smuggle people out of Ukraine without having a few skills. So I'm not going to sit here and try to take away all of that from her and say, but, oh, she's too stupid to handle herself online. That would really reduce that woman to nothing. And I'm not going to do that. Just not going to do it. She's smart enough to know how to handle herself, and she should have handled herself better. And if that is me making her a victim, then, my God, everybody in the United States needs to be a victim because they need to be smarter and handle themselves better. Even me. So, but communication is very much a lost art, as you all just witnessed. So, but can you imagine being so upset that you would take someone saying all three people were responsible for that environment and twisting that somehow to say that I'm creating a victim and that I'm supporting only one perspective? No, all three of them could have improved their behavior. Prime example of what's wrong in the world today. But it takes all kinds to make the world go around. Better with the Irish, exactly. She dropped way too many hints and gave way too much information to not think it was gonna happen. I mean, especially to be part of the military. You know, and she did all those interviews after all that and wanted to pout. And she kept dropping puzzle pieces till everybody put it together. You know, she milked it. We all know she milked it. She just didn't anticipate that people would have such hateful responses to that. And honestly, they don't need to dog her or make memes about her and her family. That is wrong. That's tacky and wrong, and they shouldn't be doing that. But she also should have had kind of an idea that was going to happen, because when you put yourself out there online, not everyone is kind. Not everyone is kind. I'll try to stand there tonight and get all this done.
I'm not sure that narrow maybe go away.
Yeah, better with the Irish. I think that her being in there in that conversation, whether Ryan had called her name or not, I think she still would have been, people still would have dug into her and investigated her, and she still would have probably had a bad experience with it. Yeah. And that's why I don't do panels, really. Oh yeah, music, you can't make everyone happy. It's almost impossible to make anyone happy anymore. I do not know if those teeth are going to stick the way I want them to stick, but I'm trying. I'm trying to get a few small things done before next weekend and finish up some stuff that I have halfway done, since I might as well get it done and get it sold if I can. And David's pulling a longer day than normal today. Yeah, you are, because you're going in early. Well, it's still shorter than the last few weeks. His work schedule's been horrible the last few weeks. But, I mean, she was mad at me because she thought that I was controlling the dynamic, and she was wanting me to be mad at her. But there's no reason for me to be mad at her. because she's just, I mean, that's what she wanted, so I was not going to be mad at her. That would have justified her behavior, and I was not about to do that. Because then she could have run off and said, she was mean to me. And that would have excused everything she had said before that. I do wish that we could have better discussions in this nation, but it's not going to happen until we actually have grown-ups in this nation. Oh. Irish, if you want to email me, you can go ahead and email me. I may change. I've got dangles going, but I may change them. I don't know how well they'll rattle. And if they rattle and fall off, then I'll have to find a way to resin them on. So I'm getting really toothy with it. So I'm going to have to go around the house and shake this thing and see if the teeth fall off. And if they do, then I'll have to find a way to resin them on so that they don't fall off. So there's no way that you can't have either a glue glop or a resin drop behind the teeth and stuff. And I wish I could find a better way to do that, but that's the only way I know how to do that. But I may try to put a little layer of resin over them to see if they'll stick. But, I mean, if you're interested in it, go ahead and email me. And I can throw it up on Etsy and send you the link and let you buy it real quick. Just email me and kind of tell me what kind of price range you're hoping to find, and we'll see if we can negotiate. A lot of people like to do the Etsy so that they have the comfort and the protection, and that's fine with me. I understand. I have leather somewhere. So that's fine. You can go ahead and email me. Oh, thank you. It's pretty. I've got some finishing stuff to do on it to make sure that these teeth stay on. So it's going to have, like, around the teeth on the feathers, it's going to have, like, you're going to be able to see some glue drops or some resin drops by the time I finish. And I'm really trying to find a way to reduce that. But honestly, to make them stay when people shake, that's the only thing I've found that works. So it's kind of like the price you pay to, you know, but once you get, you know, unless people's like right on it, you can't see it. So, but I also know that people really do like to rattle these, so I try to make them where they'll last. So, but it's got tiger's eye in the rattle. So this is probably already sold, Dave. I'll have to make another one. I think I have one more horn before I have to buy another one. So, and I'm putting the ornamental turkey. It's just a different breed of turkey raised on a fowl farm. I'm putting the little ornamental turkey feathers on it. And they do look really close to hawk, but they're turkey feathers. They're just the underside of the tail feathers for the little ornamental turkeys. I know glue strings are awful. And I try to stick it with glue, and then I'll try to, like, if it's something I want to fix, I'll try to resin, and because that resin really holds. Boy, that resin, you have to be quick with it, I'm telling you. But if it'll make it stay, I don't mind to put some resin on stuff. Because I want it to be functional. Probably more than pretty, I want it to be functional, because people really do use these things I make. So I really try. So I try, and with the rattle, you want movement, but you don't want so much movement that it flies apart. It's a very difficult balance, to be quite honest. It's a very difficult balance. It's a very difficult balance. Sometimes after you get the glue stuff done, you can put your hair dryer on high and hold it away, and it will kind of melt the tendrils of the glue. But if I'm going to resin over it, the resin kind of melts it anyway. So, and I put lapis stones on the handle above the tooth. So it's a lamb's horn with possum bonnet, leather and water buffalo beads, buffalo bison bone column beads, wood beads, and turkey feathers and coyote teeth. Oh, did you email me? Okay, I'll go check it. Resin is nice, but boy, it's you have to learn how to deal with it. Yeah, resin it used to scare me really bad, but now I'm kind of learning how to deal with it a little bit better. So, but I like to make sure things stay, and there's no way to make it look seamless, and like there isn't something holding it together. There's no way. And some people like to drill through the teeth, but then if you do that, when you actually rattle it, the tooth will just disintegrate eventually. So I try to just resin them all together rather than drill through stuff and make it weak. So I will try to resin this, but I've got to wrap the handle before I do anything else. So that's going to be what I do next. So Fabri-Tac is wonderful. I use a lot of, like, if you notice this up here, I use a lot of, and especially on the head of it right there, I use a lot of leather cement, because once you put leather cement on it, that puppy ain't moving. And so I use a lot of leather cement, and it's great. But I don't use a lot that Fabri-Tac will actually work with for me anymore. But for like my gnomes and stuff, it's really great. So I mean, I guess we're gonna be making some gnomes here not too long. So I guess I probably will be using Fabri-Tac a little bit. There's a lot of also the Aleene's products, fabric glue and stuff. They're really good. So there's some stuff that's really good. So I'll try to resin the rest of this and wrap the leather handle. So what time are you leaving?
Soon.
Soon.
Real soon.
Real soon. Okay, well, let me hop off here. I'm going to finish the handle and say adios to Dave as he goes to work. And I'm going to be doing another couple of crafts this evening. So I'll probably pop back on and do some more crafts, but I've got to do some housework before then because my house is atrocious. We're going to be doing gnome ornaments and some full-size gnomes and some pine cone gnomes. We're going to get creative this winter and do a lot of gnomes. And if we have a good crew on Sunday, I'm going to try to weave a small dream catcher as a giveaway for Sunday. So if we can have a good crew on Sunday, we'll do that. So we've got a lot going on, but today's going to be like housework and crafts as I have the energy. So when I'm up bebopping around, I'll clean the house. When I need to sit, I'll sit and craft and get my energy back. So I'm going to pop off here. I'm going to finish this, and then when I finish it, I'll respond to your email with pictures. And then I'll be back later today to do some more crafts after I've cleaned for a little bit because my house is horrible. The vendor sale season just ruins my house. So thank y'all for sitting with me and going through all that. I hope we put some wrinkles in her brain. Oh, that'd be neat. We all learned a little bit, I guess, this morning. But I'll be back later today, so I hope to see you then. So y'all have a good day. Bye, guys.